Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Unwoke Thoughts. We got a big show for you guys today. Big show. Lots to talk about. Yes. Meta, Facebook's parent company, Facebook and Instagram's parent company, is scrapping its misinformation research tool. This is good news. This tool is called Crowd Tangle. And just 3 months before the election, they're scrapping this tool. That's good news. Of course, much to the chagrin of many leftist organizations who have used this tool to find justification to demonize and shut down conservative voices. Yes, we've all seen it. We've all seen the fact checks. We've all seen the misinformation that's talked about on various articles and researchers, and they're all leftist. They're all leftists that do this. Well, the vast majority of them, at least. But this got me to think. This is just, a few weeks ago, Zuckerberg called Trump a bad A. He then called Trump to personally apologize when Facebook's automatic systems were flagging remember his iconic fist in the air photo? Facebook was flagging it as altered, and he called him to personally apologize about that. And now his company is shutting down a misinformation research tool right before the election. Could this signal the tides are turning? So this is all very good news. Judge Juan Merchan has once again refused to recuse himself from Donald Trump's hush money case, despite having a glaringly obvious conflict of interest. Yes, I've talked about this many times. It's his daughter. That's the biggest one. His daughter runs this organization called Authentic Campaigns that raises money for Democrats, and not just any Democrats. Democrats like Joe Biden and Adam Schiff. Like, these are the most militant, combative Democrats against Donald Trump. And that's this judge's daughter. And it's been like 3 or 4 times now he's refusing to recuse himself. So one Fox News opinion writer believes that this may signal that Judge Merchan is determined to hand down prison time to Trump no matter what. So he's sticking around. Could that be what that means? We'll see what he has to say. Police identify suspect in break-in of the Trump campaign office in Virginia. There is a growing online movement for Donald Trump to fire his co-campaign managers, Susie Wiles and Chris LaCivita. I myself noticed this movement online last week, but it has only intensified. Many people believe that these individuals are gatekeeping access to Trump, controlling information that he is exposed to, and pressuring him to rein in his rhetoric and to water it down with a more wishy-washy mainstream approach, thus stripping Trump of what really gives him his spark. And according to insiders, Trump knows this and wants them gone as well. Get out of here. Get out of here, establishment hacks. That's what I say. Google is blaming a glitch on why the Harris campaign was able to run misleading Google ads, where they were able to edit headlines from real news outlets and post them to make it seem like she was getting positive press. Yes, a glitch. Huh. Do you remember when you couldn't search for Trump assassination on Google, or would it populate automatically? That was a glitch. You remember that? And do you remember in 2020 when Google search would suggest that people donate to Biden but not to Trump? That was a glitch as well. So it really seems like all of these glitches only disadvantage one side. I thought glitches were bipartisan, but I guess I'm wrong. RFK Jr. met with the Harris campaign to talk about a possible cabinet position if she were to win, but apparently he also talked to Trump, or to the Trump campaign as well, and Trump told him to take a hike. Even CNN is getting sick of Kamala Harris dodging press conferences and interviews, and one of her campaign spokespersons is confronted live about this. Kevin O'Leary calls out Tim Walz for wiping out job creation in Minnesota. This one's crazy. The Taliban showcased American military equipment left behind after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in a military parade. Yes, we have a video of this. But just don't forget, this withdrawal was all done under the careful, watchful eye of Joe Biden and border czar Kamala Harris. catastrophe, those two. Joe Biden snaps at reporters and demands that they start writing more favorably about his policies. And his and Kamala Harris's administration have been busted using taxpayer money to mask Medicare premium hikes before the election. Yes, they're trying to cover everything up. Why do you think that they're reporting that, inflation is going down and border crossings are going down? Oh, there's no premium hike. It's amazing what the Democrats could do when they actually try, but they don't. They only do these things right before elections. It's like magic. All of a sudden, things start aligning and fixing itself right before the Democrats need to be elected. It's absolutely. It's like, the world. No border crossings, low inflation. The world is at peace. All you see when you look outside is sunshine and rainbows. Just a couple months before the election. Wait, why couldn't you have done this like 3 years ago? This could have been us all along. But no. Remember I said Democrats are fair weather friends? When they need you to get in office, they'll fix a couple things just temporarily. You see freaking Gavin Newsom picking up trash in L.A., you see them trying to clean up Chicago before the DNC. Guys, it's so crazy how they do these things. It's like people have these short-term memories where they don't realize like their suspicious part of their brain doesn't get triggered anymore. Like, this is a little bit weird. Like all of a sudden all these things are fixing themselves right before the election. That's kind of a weird correlation. It's just like they don't have that part of their brain that goes off. It's just like, we got to be smarter, guys. But finally, the World Health Organization declares a global emergency over the monkeypox virus. But Trump calls BS and releases a video response. So we're going to look at that. But before we get into the show, if you could leave a like on this video, it would really help me out. And also, leave me a comment and let me know what you think of the show. And if you really enjoy the show, consider subscribing. But ladies and gentlemen, Meta has scrapped its misinformation tracking tool called Crowd Tangle, despite pleas from researchers and journalists. Yes. Facebook and Instagram parent Meta platform has shut down Crowd Tangle, a tool widely used by researchers, watchdog organizations, and journalists to monitor social media posts, notably to track how misinformation spreads on the company's platforms. Wednesday's shutdown, which Meta announced earlier this year, has been protested by researchers and nonprofits. In May, dozens of groups, including the Center for Democracy and Technology and the Digital Forensics Research Lab at the Atlantic Council Human Rights Watch, and NYU Center for Social Media and Politics. Guys, these are all like radical leftist organizations. What they use, they aggregate this data and they use it to demonize conservative groups, conservative organizations. That's literally 99.9% of how this Crowd Tangle software was used to advance progressive agendas. But all of these progressive radical left agendas sent a letter to the company asking that it keep the tool running through at least January, so it would be available through the U.S. presidential elections. Yes, very important. Very important. They want it to be available during the elections. They say that the decision jeopardizes essential pre- and post-election oversight mechanisms. Yeah. You guys know what that means. Pre- and post-election oversight mechanism, and undermines Meta's transparency efforts during this critical period. CrowdTangle has been an essential tool in helping researchers parse through the vast amount of information on the platform and identify harmful content and threats. In March, the nonprofit Mozilla Foundation sent Meta a similar letter asking it to keep the tool, which was available for free, functioning until January. The letter was also signed by several dozen groups and individual academic researchers. So, misinformation tool being shut down by Facebook 3 months before the election, I believe it's intentional. You see Zuckerberg, he's kind of making some moves. He has a lot of good things to say about Donald Trump. He calls Donald Trump. He talks to him. He apologizes for what happened to his picture on the platform. And now this. I don't know. I don't know if, correlation, of course, does not equal causations, but it just seems like there might be a trend forming here. And it's a trend I like. I don't like misinformation on the internet. I don't like that, But the problem with these misinformation tools is that they're being used to target a certain type of person. And they're being used in partisan ways to suppress and demonize a certain faction of Americans. And ironically, this faction of Americans that is being used against is the ones that care about America the most. We've seen it. We've seen it during the past, really almost 2 election cycles, presidential election cycles. And it's just mind-boggling. They, just like with Google and these glitches that seem to be popping up. Every time there's something that you notice that Google does that just doesn't seem right, or that seems to be unfair or favor one side over the other, what do they say? They come out and they say it's a glitch. So not only is this stuff happening, not only do they demonize us, not only do they use these tools to try to fight against us, but when we notice it and when it gets exposed, they gaslight us and say, oh, these things are glitches, or these things aren't really happening. We're being fair. Fact checkers are fair. It's just like, does anybody believe that? It's crazy. But moving on to some Trump stuff. Donald Trump. Could he be going to prison? This opinion writer from Fox News, he thinks so. This guy's named Andrew McCarthy. He says, prepare for Trump to be sentenced to prison on September the 18th. And this is why he says this. It says, to the surprise of no one, Judge Juan Merchan has yet again denied former President Trump's motion that the judge recuse himself. I am speaking, of course, about the case in which Manhattan's elected progressive Democrat District Attorney Alvin Bragg is prosecuting Trump. In early June, a jury found the former president and current GOP presidential nominee guilty of 34 counts. Yes, you knew that. It's not just that Merchan has previously denied the recusal motion. The judge has signaled that come hell or high water, he intends to sentence Trump on September the 18th. If you're keeping score, that would be 2 days after early voting in the 2024 election begins in Pennsylvania. The Trump defense team has been trying to stave off sentencings, and the lawyers have what in a normal case would be real ammunition. On July the 1st, the Supreme Court held that presidents, including former presidents, are presumptively immune from criminal prosecution for any official acts taken as president, and B, absolute immunity if the official acts are core constitutional duties of the chief executive. The court instructed that this immunity extends not only to charges, but to evidence. And this is key in this hush money case. Some of the evidence that Alvin Bragg and, because Colangelo is part of the prosecution. Matthew Colangelo, this Biden DOJ guy, he came directly to from the Biden DOJ and started working in a low-level DA's office, or just some random DA's office in New York. It makes no sense. He went from a really high-powered, high-paying job to this local DA office. Made zero sense. This is a ex-Biden DOJ person. And not only that, but he used to work at a high level in the Obama administration. But this immunity extends to evidence as well. And some of this evidence that was used in the trial is evidence that was collected during the time which Donald Trump was president, communications and different things like that. So that would be essentially thrown out. And if you have evidence that you used in a case, in a trial, that's being thrown out, how do you know what kind of implications that evidence had on the overall functioning or the overall mind frame of the jury as a whole. You don't. So therefore, you would have to essentially throw out the entire trial, throw out the entire case, because it's all bunk, right? But he continues, that means prosecutors are not just barred from alleging official presidential acts as crimes, they are further prohibited from even using such acts as proof offered to establish other crimes. Let's see what else he has to say about this. See if he gets to the actual. Here we go. He says, if we may read the tea leaves, Merchan has already decided that he will deny Trump's immunity motion. This is, moreover, a high likelihood that he will impose a prison sentence against Trump right after that. So, I mean, guys, imagine this. I mean, Donald Trump, I feel like that would just be a very bad look, just in general. Not for Trump, but for Democrats, for the other side, because everyone knows that this is a Democrat prosecution. I mean, for anyone to think that this is anything other than that is, they're just willfully looking the other way on this one. But for Donald Trump to, have an attempted assassination and then just a couple months later get sentenced to prison, I mean, that's too many unprecedented things in just 2 months. I feel like that would just rally support around Donald Trump, but I don't know. I don't know what they're planning on doing, guys. I mean, the Democrats, it's just been one dirty trick after another. And it's getting pretty old. They cannot play fair. And I don't think we could ever expect them to play fair. And I think this is my main criticism of Republicans. We're not combative enough. We send strongly worded letters. We send strongly worded tweets. But we don't add any teeth to what we say. And, it's really not business as usual. I mean, we have a president who almost got assassinated and now may go to prison, and the media is not even talking about it. They talked about it for a week and then they just threw it away. Now they're talking about Kamala Harris, being the greatest thing since sliced bread, trying to remake her image into something that it's not. It's not business as usual. We've got to get serious. And this is another reason why, I'll talk about it here in a second. This is another reason why I believe Trump should fire his campaign managers. I think that they are wishy-washy, establishment hacks. That's what I believe personally. I think they're holding them down. I really do. But moving on, police identify suspect. Hold on a second, really quick, guys. Let me fix one thing really quick. Okay, there we go. Police identify suspect in break-in of Trump campaign office in Virginia. So, was it last week? I believe it was. Some individual broke in to a Trump campaign office, and now, guess what? They're blaming it on a homeless man. Yes. How many of you believe that? I guess it's possible. It could be possible. I don't know. But it just seems a little bit convenient. Police in Northern Virginia said Wednesday that they were looking for a homeless man they suspect broke into an office of Donald Trump's presidential campaign. The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office said it has issued an arrest warrant for Toby Shane Kessler, 39, of no fixed address on a burglary charge in connection with the break-in. Kessler was captured on surveillance video Sunday night, forcing his way through a back door into the office building in Ashburn. The office is being leased by the Trump campaign and serves as headquarters for the Virginia 10th District. And let's see if they have a picture of his face here. Nope, no picture of his face. But we showed it on yesterday's episode if you guys want to take a look at that. So very interesting. Donald Trump yesterday voted in his primary. We got a video of it. Yes, he voted early. Vote early, vote often. That's what they say, right? But this is what Donald Trump had to say. Listen.
Mr. President, can you tell us about what the FBI told you?
Well, thank you very much. Great honor to vote. We're doing a fantastic job here, and we appreciate it. We think we're doing very well. We just had a poll that shows we're doing very well. And we have an interesting couple of months ahead of us. I'm going to North Carolina right now. We're going to speak on the economy.
So Trump voted in his primary, most likely voted for all Trump-endorsed people. What do you think? Do you think Trump voted for all of his Trump-endorsed candidates? I'm going to guess probably. I'm going to guess most likely. But Donald Trump was also in North Carolina yesterday. I streamed this rally. It was a very good rally. Except there was one small part where Trump started talking about masks, mask factories. I was like, Trump, no. Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles are telling you to talk about masking. Fire them. Why are you talking about masking? Get rid of them. Get rid of these establishment people. This is why, guys, I'm already getting into this, but this is why they got rid of Steve Bannon. This is why they had to put Steve Bannon in prison, is because Steve Bannon had the rhetoric of a warrior. And that was, one of Trump's advisors during his 2016 campaign, and the one that got him through the Access Hollywood tape debacle. It was Steve Bannon. When everyone thought Trump would not survive this scandal, he came out on top, and that was Steve Bannon who advised him all along the way. And that's why they don't want Steve Bannon around Trump during the heat of the election cycle. That's why he is holed away in a federal prison right now. Don't get it twisted. They want Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles, these log cabin, basic establishment, uniparty Republicans, gatekeeping Donald Trump and keeping information from Donald Trump and advising Donald Trump. They don't want anyone of real consequence. And Donald Trump knows this as well. But let's get to this, I guess, since we're already talking about it. Top trending on Truth still. So this is what True Social looks like right now. Now, if you go on your phone, there's like a better graphic of this. It shows like a little graph of the trending topics. But alas, I can't show my phone. I believe, you know what? I think George might have a picture of this. But if you look, the top trending topics on True Social right now are loser LaCivita, Weasel Wiles, monkeypox. You go here. Immigration moratorium, fire Wiles, America first, do not comply, fire LaCivita, fire Chris. And let me go. I'll kind of show you what it looks like. George posted about this as well. I didn't have this ready, but I'll pull it up really quick. He posted. Here we go. This is probably a better image of what it kind of looks like. So that is the trending truths on True Social. People are telling Trump, listen, Trump, your campaign managers, in 2016, you used to fire. He went through like 4 of them. He kept it fresh. And I think it's time for these 2 to go. LaCivita is his chief political strategist. And, I don't think he's doing a very good job personally. If you look on X, there's a lot of talk about X and talking about Chris LaCivita, Susie Wiles. His manager, Chris LaCivita, wanted Trump out of office for January the 6th. Susie Wiles wants to replace Karen's for... This is some... I'm doing this live right here, guys. Some of this stuff I don't want to read because it would violate YouTube's terms of service. But here's one. Hi, I'm Chris LaCivita. I called for Trump to be removed from office after January the 6th. So this is being absolutely ran on Twitter and Truth right now. And this has gotten to Trump because there has been a lot of talk about Trump angry with his campaign managers for giving him bad advice and for blocking and gatekeeping access from other people who might give him certain information. This is a thread about this. Peter Navarro was jailed for defying the J6 committee. Trump's co-campaign manager, Chris LaCivita, was saying Navarro and other loyalists involved in Project 2025 will be barred from a future Trump administration. See where it talks about. Here is Chris LaCivita talking about Project 2025. He says it's annoying.
You guys sure as hell give them a lot of leeway because you're always writing the Trump campaign is going to start with the next Trump.
They're hurting your campaign.
The next Trump.
They're
campaign,
jamming you.
No, they're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So because they.
So he calls Project 2025 a pain in the ass. But guys, I've talked about Project 2025 on the show before. And there is a reason why the media is demonizing it the way it is. The people involved in Project 2025 are Trump loyalists. They are America First people. They're great people. They're incredible people. They're people that worked with Trump during his 2016 campaign, and they're people that would literally take a bullet for Donald Trump. And Project 2025 is a massive agenda that, every aspect of it could never be implemented. But there are some great ideas in Project 2025. But more importantly, in Project 2025 is the people, the database of America First individuals. That's more important. And Chris LaCivita is dead set against anything about Project 2025. Why do you think the media is so dead set to demonize and fearmonger about Project 2025? It's not a mistake, guys. And it's also not a mistake that Susie Walz and Chris LaCivita are coming out against it too, and that are advising Donald Trump to come out against Project 2025. But moving on, there's a website actually, www.chrislacivita.com, that has appeared. Fire Chris LaCivita, save Trump, save America. And then it has some stuff. A tweet that Chris LaCivita liked on January the 6th, 2021. This tweet it says, Twitter locked Donald Trump for 12 hours. Now the cabinet needs to lock him down for the next 14 days. This was liked by Chris LaCivita. Says LaCivita was a never Trumper as recently as 2021. He supported Trump being removed from office via the 25th Amendment after January the 6th. Says LaCivita has destroyed Trump's momentum, and these polls are saying that Harris is rising, and LaCivita isn't doing nothing. His advice is actually terrible to Trump right now. Says LaCivita is purging the MAGA movement of the loyalists who brought Trump to victory in 2016. He is responsible for killing Project 2025, a blueprint for real change. Then also, this one's wild, guys. LaCivita's company, his PR company, FP1 Strategies, is owned by Omnicom PR Group, which is owned by Vanguard and BlackRock. So, just a little information about who is currently running Donald Trump's campaign and why you might feel like his rhetoric is a lot more wishy-washy and watered down than before. Now, I am 100% a Trump guy. But I'm a Trump guy. I'm not a LaCivita guy. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Susie Wiles person. I am an America First person. And I believe that Trump is a great man. And I believe that he is incredible. But these people that are advising him, his managers, I believe are snakes. And he needs to get them out of his campaign. But moving on. We'll see what happens with that. I'll keep my ear to the ground and see if anything happens. But there has been whispers of people close to the Trump campaign saying that he is unhappy with his campaign managers. So we'll see if he comes out and says, Chris, Susie, you're fired. We'll see if that happens. I would love to see it, but you never know. You never know. We don't have that much more left in this before the election. So it's coming down to the wire. So if he's going to do it, he better do it soon. But moving on, Google is blaming a glitch for Harris campaign's misleading search ads favoring her. Yes. You guys remember this picture right here that showed all of these ads, these search ads, where the Harris campaign edited the headlines that showed it looks like these headlines were being produced by actual news companies like Associated Press, Newsweek, what have you. But these were actually headlines that were being created by Kamala Harris. And now Google is saying that this is a glitch. Listen.
Axios reporting the campaign is giving real news articles a pro-Kamala Harris spin and then using them in Google ads. Martha McCallum's been looking at this, and she joins us now. Good morning to you. Welcome back.
Good morning,
nice
Bill.
to see you.
Great to see you.
Get ready for Chicago, all right?
Here we go.
Save that for a moment here. So the trick was we'll make it like an ad. And we'll reframe the headline so that when you're searching, maybe you see the spot and you read the headline, but maybe you don't understand that it's actually sponsored by the campaign. Show it, guys. Here we go. So this involved what? They cited CNN, NPR, Reuters, Associated Press, The Guardian a lot. And you would see this as you were going through your internet search. And, well, that's cheating.
Wow, it is. You know, this is really, and I should also point out that Google says that there was a glitch in their system that meant that some of the sort of barriers that they try to put in to make it clear what this is weren't working. Oops. I wonder if it was true for other campaigns as well. We don't know that yet, but they say they're looking into that. But just as an example, so this is a Guardian headline. VP Harris fights abortion bans. Harris defends reproductive freedom. Well, those things are true. That's a factual statement. That's something that she backs and supports. But then they have a description under the headline. So you know how there's a headline when you read a news story. Then there's an under headline that you read in the news story. But it says this: VP Harris is a champion for reproductive freedom and will stop Trump's abortion bans. So the second line in what looks like a news story is actually a campaign slogan, a campaign statement.
So there you go, guys. I talked about this a little bit more yesterday, and it's absolutely cheating what they're doing. And Google has said that this is not against their terms of service, that this was a glitch. You know, I read two different things. First, I saw where Google said something about it not being against their terms of service, and that Facebook had made this not able to do on their platform because it is cheating. And now Google is saying that this is a glitch. I don't know what to believe here, guys. I'm just reporting what I am seeing. But some other people who think that this is kind of strange is Congress, and they're looking into this. Congress opens probe into whether Google search misled Americans on Trump assassination attempt. So they're looking into they're looking into the Trump assassination attempt glitch with Google, and they're probably going to be looking into this thing that Harris is doing as well. Her campaign is doing as well. But Google is kind of under fire, already facing a potential breakup from antitrust court rulings. Google got more bad news Wednesday when the main Congressional Oversight Committee announced it had opened a probe into whether the search engine misled Americans about the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. The House Oversight Committee, James Comer, revealed that Google told his staff last week that its search engine's autocomplete feature omitted the Trump assassination attempt from relevant searches because the firm failed to update a safety protocol. Yes, guys, AKA a glitch. It was a glitch. Sorry, we made a boo-boo. It's like every single time. It's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me a million times, shame on me. Tell me it's a glitch, it's 100,000 times, shame on me. Shame on the Republicans for allowing this. Shame on the Republicans for allowing Google and these tech companies AstroTurf elections. Shame on you, Republicans. This is why I'm not a Republican. I'm America first. But against violence to recognize the former president had, in fact, been shot July the 13th during an assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. So this was a safety protocol against violence. Yet when you search for the assassination attempt of other assassination attempts popped up, no problem. There was all Truman, I don't know, Lincoln. Like there was a lot that popped up, just not Trump's. But this was a safety protocol against violence, they say. So, yeah, guys. Fool me a million times. Shame on the Republicans. But Donald Trump he has reacted to the Google glitches and the Harris campaign manipulating headlines, and he said, wow, Google and the Harris campaign are manipulating stories. Is this legal? I mean, if you're a Democrat, what is illegal? What's not legal if you're a Democrat? Right? I don't know. It's crazy. So it seems like the Democrats can do just about anything they want, because then they have, people installed as judges and, in positions of high power to grease the wheels and allow them to get off. Just like with these BLM riots and stuff that happened in Minnesota. What happened? There's these funds like the Minnesota Freedom Fund that was created where prominent politicians like Kamala Harris and a lot of these other rich people, leftists, radical leftists, donated millions upon millions of dollars to this fund that would pay the legal fees of rioters that got sent to prison and jail for heinous crimes. Kamala Harris is one of these. She promoted it. Minnesota Freedom Fund, look it up. The media might tell you that she never did, but that's not true. You can go to her Twitter. I believe the tweet's still up where she retweeted the link to donate to Minnesota Freedom Fund. And it was a radical left fund that was used to pay the legal fees of Antifa members and BLM rioters. And many of them got off. The vast majority of them got off. It's crazy. Moving on. We're going to talk about RFK for a second here. RFK was removed from the New York ballot, and Stephen Colbert and his audience celebrate RFK being removed. This is what shows that these people, guys, they're not about, they say that they're about democracy, but they're really not. They want to restrict your choices for who's on the ballot. They want to remove people on the ballot if they think it's going to hurt them. And RFK most definitely hurt the Democrats if he was on the ballot. They always said, oh, no, he hurt Donald Trump more. That's not true. New York is turning red very fast in favor of Donald Trump. And having a third option on there would just take more votes from the Democrats. But listen.
Junior here got some bad news yesterday when a New York Supreme Court judge ruled that he is disqualified from the New York ballot over falsifying his residence. Now, prosecutors, you're right.
Why?
Prosecutors.
Why is that something to cheer about? You know what I mean? Why is removing someone from the ballot something to cheer about? And remember, that's exactly what would happen if Donald Trump was removed from the ballot. The Democrats, you know what they would do? They would cheer because they love that. They love that kind of stuff. But I am no fan of RFK Jr. I believe he's okay. I believe he's all right. But he tried to meet with the Kamala Harris campaign to discuss a cabinet position. This was from the Washington Post. I had to get an archive of this article because the Washington Post, you have to pay to read their articles. So if you guys want to read articles without paying to read articles like the Washington Post, you can just go to www.removepaywall.com. And it'll get you around that paywall. But here we go. So independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sought a meeting last week with a Democrat nominee, Kamala Harris, who discussed the possibility of serving in her administration, perhaps as a cabinet secretary if he throws his support behind her campaign, and she wins, according to the Kennedy campaign officials. Harris and her advisors have not responded with an offer to meet or have shown interest in the proposal. The Kennedy outreach made through intermediaries follows a meeting in Milwaukee last month between Kennedy and Republican nominee Donald Trump to discuss similar policy role and endorsement that resulted in no agreement. In those discussions, Kennedy spoke about advising Trump in a second term on health and medical issues. So Kennedy met with Trump too, or actually before Kamala Harris. And I guess they didn't receive an agreement. I mean, guys, I'm not a Kennedy hater. I think some of the stuff he says is valuable. But he just kind of, he's just got that kind of creepy politician vibe. You know what I mean? He doesn't have it as bad as some of them, but he's a Kennedy, all right? He's like entrenched in politics. Politics is his whole life. Money in politics, fundraisers, parties, and dinners and whatnot. I mean, come on, like those people, that kind of lifestyle really, when I see someone, they grew up in that kind of lifestyle, it kind of makes me uncomfortable. Like I feel like some of these people are not grounded in reality. I mean, you can be rich and be grounded in reality, but like for Donald Trump, he built something. He built a business. He's built buildings. He's a developer. He's diversified. I mean, TV shows. He was a host of one of the most popular TV shows ever. Developer of golf courses, building skyscrapers. And, he dabbles in stuff like social media companies. I mean, come on, the guy just does it all. So that's someone that is grounded in reality. When you're a politician, he's a politician lawyer, RFK Jr. is. To me, it's like, I'm a little bit suspect of that lifestyle. But moving on, CNN is getting tired of Kamala Harris ducking all these interviews and press conferences. And they talked to Kamala Harris's campaign spokesperson, which is kind of a familiar face. Do you guys recognize this guy? This was also Joe Biden's campaign spokesperson. Remember him? Familiar face. Yeah, it's just swapped out for another candidate, just like that. But listen.
Would it kill you guys to have a press conference? Why hasn't she had a press conference?
Listen, the vice president and Governor Walz have been busy crisscrossing this country since the launch of this campaign and adding Governor Walz to the ticket. You saw the ways in which they went across the battleground states last week, generating rallies of thousands, 10,000 here, 15,000 there. But
Michael, a campaign rally is not a press conference.
It's going to be inclusive.
Do you mind if I cut in? I mean, a campaign rally is not a press conference. Why hasn't she had a press conference? She's the vice president. She can handle the questions. Why not do it?
We absolutely are going to do it. You hear her take questions as she's out on the stump. And she said last week, we're going to be having a sit-down interview here before the end of the month. What she's going to be focused on and what this campaign is going to be focused on is communicating directly with the voters that are actually going to decide the pathway to 270 electoral votes. That's why she
Can you
Governor
commit
Walz
to a press conference this week?
This past week. That's why we're doing a bus tour in Pennsylvania as we head into Chicago. And it's why we'll sit down for an interview before the end of the month to make sure that we can have a deep dive conversation about the vision that Kamala Harris has for where she wants to take this country and the contrast that we're going to have with Donald Trump. We're going to have plenty of opportunities to do that throughout the rest of
but one interview by the end of the month.
This month and throughout the rest of the campaign.
I don't want to belabor this, but one interview before the end of the month. I mean, that's not a lot. I mean, can you commit to a press conference before the end of the month?
We will commit to directly engage with the voters that are actually going to decide this election. And that is going to be complete with rallies, with sit-down interviews, with press conferences, with all the digital assets that we have at our disposal.
So, incredible. It's, guys, every time I hear these people talk this way, it's so frustrating to listen to them. Their words are just so empty and void of any sort of meaning or commitment. And they do everything that they can to talk circles and beat around the bush any question that is presented to them to try to get them to nail down a certain, response. You ask a question and you get they talk about X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's like, no. I want to talk about this, but you're talking about everything other than this, Kamala Harris wants to be president of the United States, yet all she's doing is reading a teleprompter. And it's been, over a month now since she was installed by the elites into the nomination of their party. It's kind of weird. I think that's weird. You know, that's the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen in my 33 years of being on this earth. You know, I never thought I would see anything like that. We're in unprecedented times. And in the same breath, after doing something like that, these Democrats will still call Donald Trump a threat to democracy. It's like, do you guys even know what democracy means? Is Merriam-Webster's dictionary going to change the definition of democracy so that you guys are consistent? Wouldn't surprise me, because that stuff happens a lot. But Sean Hannity, I thought this was good. A lot of you guys probably have seen this, because, I don't know, probably a lot of you watch Fox News still. I don't have cable news. All the news I get is off the internet. That's the millennial in me, okay? I have Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that, YouTube, and then everything else comes from the internet. But I saw Sean Hannity talk about Kamala Harris. I thought he did a really good job here. He rips into her and says that she is an illusion built on a mountain of lies. I couldn't have said it better myself, Sean Hannity, but listen.
But not long ago, Kamala Harris was persona non grata in the Democratic Party and among so-called journalists in the state-run Pravda media mob. This is a November 2022 headline. Let's take a look. Not exactly a conservative publication at Slate. Quote, if Biden runs again, he should pick a new VP. And this from New York Magazine a year later, 2023, quote, the case for Biden to drop Kamala Harris. Here's another headline, Politico, quote, columnists call for Biden to drop Harris and pick a new running mate. Kamala was routinely mocked on both sides of the aisle and in the media for her embarrassing word salads about the passage of time, etc. And anyway, her poll numbers were consistently at or near record lows. I expect they will be again. Kamala's own staff reportedly hated her, ridiculed the vice president's work ethic and character, and her track record as border czar and on inflation and Afghanistan is devastating.
So, yes, Kamala Harris used to be like the most unpopular politician of all time. Media companies called it out. Nobody thought she should be the VP. I mean, did she even get any votes? She ran for president, right? Did she ever even get any votes? Hardly. She didn't make it to Iowa. She had like less than 1% of the votes. Persona non grata is how Sean Hannity put it. That's that's literally what she was. And all of a sudden, it's like the greatest Astroturfing campaign of all time. It's actually bonkers. And speaking of Astroturfing, guys, I have to revisit this one. You guys remember when I talked about this Republican for Harris thing? It's like a PSYOP or a campaign that's being ran on X, Twitter, and probably other social media platforms. Well, this is one I saw yesterday. That is probably the most insane one I've ever seen. I screenshotted it and I tweeted it out. I said, this is probably the most insane PSYOP I have ever seen. It's this same Kyle Sweetster guy, the one I showed before, him standing in front of this tractor, saying that he was this Republican that voted for Trump twice and now is voting for Harris. And this is his newest post that I saw. He says, I'm a Republican. I support free markets, law and order, the Constitution, human dignity, fiscal responsibility, protecting individual freedoms. I don't want the government in my home or in my private life. That's why I'm voting for Kamala Harris. What? Like, that's a bold PSYOP right there, you know? Why? It's like some like Republican to see that, like, oh yeah, I support all those things. I support free markets and human dignity and fiscal responsibility and individual freedoms. Oh, really? I didn't know that Kamala Harris stood for that. Who falls for this stuff? That's what I want to know. I mean, do they? I don't know, guys. I have a hard time believing people are this are that dumb to fall for that. But I guess maybe I have too much faith in humanity. But Kamala Harris is antithetical to all these things. It's obvious. Not only Kamala Harris, but Tim Walz, even more so, are antithetical to these things. Not only that, but Kamala Harris hasn't even released a policy platform for you to compare. So what are you trying to say here? What are you trying to compare here? But most people don't know this. Most people, they don't go and look and see if a candidate has a policy platform. They just go off of what they hear in the news, go off of what they might say at a rally here and there. They don't inspect some of these things. So I guess it could work. I don't know, but I don't think so. That's just kind of too far. That one blew me away, like literally blew me away. When I saw that, I was like, what? These are things literally antithetical to the Democrat Party. I mean, and you got some random person being paid saying these things. It's crazy. It's incredible how dishonest her campaign is. It's wild. But Kevin O'Leary went after Tim Walz. And he said that he whopped out job creation in Minnesota.
The Democrat VP nominee Tim Walz has zero money in investments. What do you make of someone trying to run the country with zero investment acumen?
I didn't know anything about the VP candidate, Tim, and so I did some digging last week. I got the data last Friday. He is not a good manager. If you look at his stewardship of his state, Minnesota, it's been not good. And I'll tell you how I measure it. People say, oh, you're partisan. No, I'm not. I'm looking at the track record of an individual who came into a state and wiped out job creation. He wiped out job creation in professional, in manufacturing, in accounting, in every subcategory you look at. Those jobs moved to South Dakota and North Dakota. The South Dakota job rate right now is 4 times that of Minnesota. Minnesota only creates jobs in services that are funded by the government, healthcare and social services. Every other sector is in decline. He's also added a surcharge of 1%, 100 basis points, on top of 9.8% taxes on individuals that are retiring. And of course they're leaving the state in drove. He's the best governor for Texas, for Florida, for North and South Dakota, but not for Minnesota.
So that's not good, guys. Because you guys do know, we talked about this last week, a couple weeks ago. The low job numbers have already triggered an indicator that indicates recession. The low job numbers, job creation, triggered last week when that whole stock market crashing was going on. It was all put in place due to this low job number triggering this recession indicator that has predicted like every recession ever, except for maybe one. And it was written about, I forgot what that indicator was called. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. But yeah, and then you have a guy who literally stripped jobs from Minnesota and caused them to flee to other states, like Texas. What did he say? North Dakota? I forgot. So, we're not looking at the best and the brightest with the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz ticket. But, that's probably a feature, not a bug. The corporations and the institutions that control them, they don't want the best and the brightest. They don't want someone to think for themselves. They want someone to do what they tell them to do. And that's what Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are. They are like the definition of Manchurian candidates, empty suits. But moving on, Taliban showcased American military equipment left behind after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in a military parade. Yes, check this out. This is all the equipment that was left behind. They did a whole parade about it. They're just flaunting it. Like, hey, look at all these billions of dollars worth of equipment that we have that was left behind by the military under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Look at this. Wow. Free helicopters and tanks and trucks. Wow, that's pretty incredible. So, yeah, look at it. Feast your eyes. Just flaunting it to the world. Very, very interesting. Let's fast forward a little bit here. Wow, they have like a whole new army there. Must be nice. Incredible. And all this equipment probably had to be replaced, so therefore we had to send more contracts and pay more money to the military contractors to replace this equipment, I'm assuming. So that, of course, has nothing to do with anything, though. I mean, come on, guys. That has nothing to do with any of it. Are you trying to insinuate that the military contractors are doing stuff to get money from the government? That is a lie. How dare you? How dare you insinuate that? Wow. What are you, un-American? But let's move on. Joe Biden gets very mad, big mad at reporters, and tells them to start writing that his policies are working. Yes, Joe Biden snaps. Listen.
Yes. Yes. Shh, I'm not going to answer your question. I'm talking to them first, okay? The audience first, okay? Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, President.
Thank you, President.
Thank you, President.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Has the U.S. beat inflation, Mr. President? Yes. I told you we're going to have a soft landing. We're going to have a soft landing. My policies are working. Start writing that way, okay?
And my policies are working. Start writing that way. Hey, you write what I tell you. Sorry, Biden. Kamala is the new girl in town. So you're not getting these passes from the press anymore. Ever since the press started going after you for your poor debate, they don't have to, sugarcoat you anymore. So he's probably getting he's feeling left out. He's not under the Democrat safety umbrella as much as he was. Of course, it's Kamala now. Wow. So he's losing it. But some more wild stuff. The Biden-Harris administration is using taxpayer money to mask Medicare premium hikes before the election. In a move critics say is designed to shield the Biden-Harris administration from election fallout, the administration has leveraged taxpayer funds to mask upcoming increases in Medicare premiums. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, which did everything but reduce inflation, believe it or not, a government program that doesn't work? You don't say. No way. That never happens. Which was intended to cap out-of-pocket drug costs for Medicare beneficiaries. Insurers are poised to significantly hike monthly premiums, with average bids for Part D plans expected to triple by 2025. In response to potential voter backlash, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services rolled out a 3-year demonstration project to subsidize these premiums, aiming to keep them artificially low. However, despite the appearance of relief, some critics are saying that taxpayers will fund a dramatic increase in subsidies from $30 per recipient per month in 2024 to $142.70 in 2025, raising concerns about the long-term impact of government spending and debt. So, once again, using dirty tricks to try to get votes, just like they're keeping, or all of a sudden inflation is falling, right? They're reporting that inflation is falling. The numbers at the border crossers is going down. Job numbers are up. The stock market all of a sudden is recovering. Everything is aligning. Oh, your premiums for Medicare is not going to go up. But it's all just a facade. It's all them just putting this veneer over the reality of what's going on. Months before the election, a few months before the election, this is what they do. I mean, I think the biggest indicator of this is when you see people like Gavin Newsom cleaning up LA. And he's out there even himself after years upon years upon years of LA just being a total trash heap. LA, California, a lot of California as well, just being a trash heap. We've all seen the videos. We've all seen the pictures. We've all heard the news. We've all heard about the break-ins and the craziness that happens in California. And it's gotten so bad that they know that that image is a liability to Democrats going into November. So what are they doing? Just briefly, they're going to start trying to clean things up so they can get some good headlines. And hopefully the voters from from their perspective. Hopefully they fall for it once again and think something is getting better when it's really not. When it's really just all an act, a lie. Last one we're going to talk about, guys, before we get to the comments. World Health Organization declares global emergency over the monkeypox virus. This is what the WHO, World Health Organization, says. Listen.
Today, the emergency committee met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. I have accepted that advice. The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of Mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported Mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying.
Okay, guys. So, yes, take this very, very seriously. It's very serious, guys. And, yes, it's, just a couple months before the election. But, don't look at that. There's no correlation there. Don't pay attention to that, okay? Don't get all conspiratorial on us. Ooh. Yes. It's wild how all this stuff just randomly pops up right before, consequential elections, right? Fool me once. But Donald Trump has responded to this. And he's seen some kind of odd as well. This is what he had to say. He said, "We will not comply. This happened, in 2019, 2020. These things started popping up out of nowhere. I don't think we should go through this again." Listen.
The left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are bad people. These are sick people we're dealing with. But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply.
Yes, so we will not comply. He's talking about COVID lockdowns here, but also, there's a lot of talk about different stuff like COVID coming back, monkeypox, all of a sudden is getting a lot of play in the news. And we just got to be vigilant of these things, guys, because this all seems to happen every 4 years at a very specific time. There was actually one more I wanted to show you guys. JD Vance, before I get to the comments, he responded to these numbers of apparently inflation is going down. Inflation has gone down below 3%. Randomly, all of a sudden, how is this? How does this happen? JD Vance explains what is actually happening, and he does a fantastic job. Listen.
Sir. With the New York Times, I wanted to ask you about the latest economic news from this morning, with inflation now being under 3%, the lowest rate since mid-2021. What is your sort of reaction to that
news? Well, I think the crowd reaction says it all. Look, when they say that inflation is down, they mean from a baseline where groceries are already 30% more expensive than they were when Donald Trump was president. And they're not saying it's coming down. They're just saying it's not going up as fast as it was 3 years ago. That is not a reputation or a record to brag on. That's a record to be ashamed of. Why did it take them so long to get inflation to where it is? And why are prices so high? It's because Kamala Harris failed to do her job. So if they want to go around, and this is, it's funny. Kamala Harris, on the one hand, will say, on day one, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis. And like I said earlier, Kamala Harris has been the vice president for 3.5 years. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, she's in effect been the acting president, because we all know Joe Biden isn't home. So she's been the one controlling government policy for 3.5 years. She says she wants to tackle the affordability crisis on day one, and then on the other hand, she'll say, oh, we've already got inflation under control. Well, which is it, Kamala? Which is it? The simple truth is America's credit card debt is getting higher. Americans are finding the basic necessities of middle-class life less affordable. Americans are becoming, especially young people, are becoming paupers in their own country. If we don't do better, our young generation, they're not going to own anything. They're not going to have anything. They're going to be renters in the country that their parents and grandparents built. Inflation is a disaster. Kamala Harris is.
So there you go, guys. Yes, that's a great explanation of what's going on with inflation and how, it's not even close to what the Democrats are saying it is. It's all a total and utter facade. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the chat. How are you guys doing? Hey, we've got a couple new members. We got Jacqueline Reardon. Welcome to Bronze. Welcome to the membership, and Mama Bear Marianne. Hey, thank you guys for supporting the show. I really appreciate it. That really means a lot. I talk about this a lot. YouTube doesn't like my live streams for some reason. Almost every single live stream that I do in the morning gets hit with this thing called ad suitability, and I have no idea why. I don't cuss. I never cuss or swear on my live streams unless maybe I'm reading something from an article. So I try to keep it clean. I try not to talk about anything graphic or crazy, but yet YouTube always hits me with these ad suitability things. That means that these live streams make almost no money. So when my members support me, I legitimately appreciate it. I seriously appreciate that. So thank you guys for being members and, supporting the show. That means so much. Jim Barron, he's gifted another membership. Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate you. You guys are incredible. Also, to my members, I'm thinking about having a stream next Saturday, members only, with, guess who? George. Yes, we're going to have a conversation. I talked to him yesterday. So for my members, to say thank you to you guys, I asked George if he'd be willing to come on to a members only stream, and he said he was. So tentatively next Saturday, maybe having a stream with George. It'll probably be in the afternoon. I'll do my regular morning show, and then in the afternoon sometime, I'll hop on with George for half hour to 45 minutes and see what he's been up to, see what he's been doing since. So keep that in mind, just to kind of let you guys know I don't have a certain time set yet, but I have talked to him, and he is excited to do that. He's like, man, I forget what it's like to even be on YouTube anymore. I was like, yeah. So for all my members, next Saturday, I most likely will be having George on. I'll release some more details about that as I set an actual time, but just FYI. Who else we have in the chat? We have, let's see. Wow, we got a lot of my chat is members. Wow, that's crazy. We got Michelle in the chat. She says, please do. Yes, I've already talked with George. It's happening. So he's going to give everybody an update. It's not going to be your normal stream that we did on Firebrand Media. It's going to be mostly just, maybe I might get his opinion on a couple things politics wise, but it's mostly probably just going to be a conversation. Just, hey, what have you been up to? What's been happening? What's been going on? He's been making some moves. He's been driving in cyber trucks and stuff across the country to Montana, going to Trump rallies. He's been interviewing people. So, it's going to be an interesting one. So make sure you join to catch that next Saturday. We got Thorny Nose in the chat. Thank you, Thorny. Thank you for watching. Jeremy Byers, some of my great members, Corporal Oreo, Mama Bear, the new one, our new member, We Need Peace, Jim Barron, Raven Wings. Oh, there's just so many. I'm going to have to limit it to a certain number every stream now. I really appreciate you guys. We also have another one. I noticed two joined earlier or last night, actually. Let me look them up. I got to go on my phone for this one. Some more new members that we have are, let's see. Christy, I think I already said that one yesterday, but Christy, Captain Kirk, they joined last night, I believe it was. And then, of course, Jacqueline. So that one was already read off. But thank you guys for joining. Make sure if you guys are new members, go in the members only area on YouTube under community. I have a link to the private members only chat. That's only for members. So click that chat, join the chat, the Discord chat, and chat with some like-minded people. And I'm on there myself. Veteran Biker is on there. He posts from time to time. So I might even send a link to George so he can post stuff every now and then. But let's see. What else do we got going on here? What time do you guys think I should do the stream on next Saturday? Not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday with George. Should it be like an evening stream or like an early afternoon stream? What do you guys think? Give me some ideas because I want to do my normal Saturday stream. I probably would do it around maybe like 1 or 2 o'clock or something like that. 1 or 2 o'clock. I'll narrow it down more, but I'm thinking probably early afternoon. That's what I'm thinking of. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll get more about that later. But thank you guys for hanging out with me this morning. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to, if you want to catch that members only show with George, make sure to sign up. Give it a try. It's only $5 for the lowest tier. But before we get off the stream, guys, if you could leave a like on this video, I'd really appreciate it. That helps me get seen in more feeds, helps my content get pushed out there. And if you would like to support the show, like I said, join as a member. And if you enjoyed the show, at least consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with me this morning. Have a great day, and God bless.